Welcome back. And after processing the last episode 4 of Love Island, I sat back to myself and I was just thinking, the honeymoon phase is definitely over and that didn't last long. And it actually ended much faster than I thought. Cause I thought these people would at least be in this honeymoon phase and this little lovey dovey, I kind of like each other phase for at least the first week. But nah, they shot that dead really quick, and now we have people playing all different type of roles and a bunch of drama, a bunch of people going behind each other's backs. We have friends pulling their friends' partner for chats now. We have and and they're doing that out of pure spite, by the way. We have the new bombshell hiding in the back of the corporate office in the little slime game. And then we have Bia kind of acting like the villa HR manager and letting everybody know who and when they could speak to the new guy and who she felt like could speak to them and when or whatnot, just weird behavior. And it's all to really serve her own purpose. And other than that, going into this episode, I was hoping that Sincere and Melanie maybe have a casual, regular conversation to kind of iron out their differences. But no, Melanie decided to choose chaos, and chaos she did choose. And I think somebody should check on this girl. And I really hope they have, maybe a therapist on set or something like that, because, I heard about the tattoos and things that she has. And, the way she's kind of going, I've seen some of the comments that people have made that she gave vibes of a person from a past season. And I'm not going to go into that, but with that being said, I do think that she may need a little bit of help coping with the situation that she's in, because she does not seem to be handling it well. When the only thing Sincere really did was he had a chat, but yeah, maybe he wasn't so forthcoming about it, but was it that big of a deal? It didn't seem like it to me, but apparently it was to her. So unpacking episode 4 and starting off with where we left off with the madness between Sincere and Melanie, we learned that Sincere says that, he wants a teammate, somebody that's going to be there for him and whatnot. And he doesn't really like girls that kind of act and move how Melanie's moving right now. And you really can't blame him, because she is kind of going off the rails, and I'm not really sure why, because and what is with all this cheating stuff? If he cheats on me, I'm going to cheat back and cheat this and cheat that. It's just like, did they forget we were on Love Island? Can somebody explain to me how you cheat on Love Island? And especially 4 days in, like, how do we cheat on Love Island 4 days in when are with couples really that locked in? And I know she's out here dropping L bombs and stuff like that by looking in his eyes, and so I guess she's there already. And maybe that's why she's trying to watch the world burn down around her now, because she's pissed off that Sincere had a chat with somebody, and the somebody I'm speaking of is Kata, but and more on the Kata Melanie drama in a few. But her solution to all of this, speaking of Melanie, is to let me go talk to other people. And you should be speaking to other people. Nobody should be locked in so early in this show. And it bothers me to a degree how not a lot of the people, especially the guys, in my opinion, aren't really playing the game. Nobody's pulling anybody for chats, except I guess maybe Kenzie now, since she's in trouble. And the only person that Sean is pulling is Kenzie, because, he's single as well. But nobody's pulling anybody for chats. Everybody wants, oh, let me talk to you for a minute. Like, maybe the producers need to pull these people to the side and give them a retrain on the terminology of the show and how things work. The screaming out, I've got a text and stuff like that. It happened finally when Melanie got the text, but all before that was just like, I got a text. Nobody can hear you. So I don't know, like, the vibe is just kind of off with this season so far. And there are many reasons why, but the guys play a part in it. The girls play a part in it. The girls are honestly kind of hard to watch at times, because they have all this drama within their little group, I guess you could say. Because like past seasons, there don't seem to be any PPGs or anything like that forming. These people are all out for their individual selves, and it shows. But going back to Melanie and how she's acting and going to go pull KC, and yeah, KC seemed to enjoy the conversation. And why wouldn't you enjoy talking to somebody else? You're on this island with all these people that you're technically living with. So I think I would want to get to know everybody at least a little bit. So while I've seen some say he seemed very excited, he didn't really come off that excited to me from a man's perspective. Maybe he was, maybe you guys see something I didn't. But, Anaya isn't really doing a lot either. They're talking and whatnot, and they're getting to know each other, but maybe she's the only slow burn we have this season. It just hasn't stated it out loud. But all the real crazy stuff really took place in the boss bitch game. And that's where I say all the interesting things that played out in this episode truly started to unfold or unfolded in that game. And what that game was, basically the girls had to pick their office crush and go do the little dance and stuff like that. One person was going to get slimed and they were going to go to the back. And unbeknownst to anybody, there was another bombshell waiting back there for all the girls. And I'm not sure what he decided to do and how he kept himself hydrated, because he literally kissed every single girl in the villa. And good for him. And while Corbin is a handsome guy, some of these girls are, should I say, starting to show their true colors, and that maybe they were looking for something else this entire time, and maybe they weren't as locked in as they seemed. But back to the challenge. This challenge was really just an excuse for everybody to air their petty grievances with each other, mainly the girls, because they're the ones who really did it and aired each other out. You know, you had, well, I shouldn't say that, because Trinity aired out Bryce, and that was kind of messed up because they're in a couple together, but I don't think that's going to last much longer, since I think the girls are going to be choosing this week. And if the girls are choosing, that means Kenzie's safe. And honestly, I think Shauna is going to be safe too. And I think Bryce is going to be the odd man out when it all is said and done, because between the whole throuple situation that he was thrust into that really wasn't his fault, and maybe he was just trying to play the game, and it was just a weird situation for him to be in all around. But with all that being said, he says a lot of dumb shit and he dresses the same. And I'm not sure who just keeps wearing Timberlands in Fiji, but he just honestly just kind of seems like the odd person out anyways. Nobody really seems to want him, not even the person he's in a couple with, and not even the only other white girl on the island in Kenzie. So I just don't think that Bryce has a leg to stand on. I think that he's probably going to be the person eliminated or dumped from the island. Let me use the right terminology as well. When we get to Sunday, I think it's going to be Bryce that gets dumped. I would not be surprised if it's him. But the main event of the game is when Melanie decided to go against Kata. You know, Melanie decided to slime Kata when, you know, the question came across about who should be fired. And of course she feels that way, because Sincere wouldn't had a little chat with her, and he sat definitely on the other side of the couch from her. And I'm not even sure if they hugged after they got finished, but she feels like Kata should be fired because she had a conversation, only one to my remembrance, with Sincere. And then she has the nerve to do the, you know, I slime you, but I love you though. All that, you know, fake love bullshit that she was trying to put out there, because, you know, Melanie showed all her cracks during this game with all the heavy smiling, and oh man, the way that her smile would drop at certain moments when somebody would dance with Sincere. And, you know, she didn't enjoy this game as much as she tried to let off that she thought she enjoyed this game. Because if she'd said that she did, we all know from seeing how this played out that Melanie did not enjoy this game at all. And I just think some of the cracks with her and her personality are starting to show. But then, you know, Kata got her chance for revenge. You know, the question was asked, who needs a promotion from their relationship? And she definitely took that moment to say that Sincere, who ended up getting slimed in this moment, needed a promotion from his relationship. And even he had turned around and asked, you know, just me? And she's like, yeah, just you. And that was obviously a clear shot at Melanie. So, you know, game on, really. And she told us in her confession that, you know, she's a tit for tat girl. So I don't think Melanie knew who she was, you know, going tit for tat with in this moment. And I've seen the comments and some of the videos from people that she went to school with online saying that, you know, Kata is basically a mean girl. And so it seems like she is ready to bring that type of energy if you decide to cross her. And it does make sense more now why she wasn't sitting with the girls and more of the guys. Maybe she doesn't really come off friendly with the girls and wants to be around them. But then again, you know, this could play in her favor, because hanging around the guys is a good thing, since these are the guys who are going to be saving you throughout the season when us, the fans, don't have a vote. And hell, even sometimes then when we have a vote, the Islanders still get to choose who stays and goes. So, you know, mingling with the guys, the group that is more than likely going to decide whether you stay or not, it's probably a good idea. But there were a lot of toxic decisions in this episode. But, you know, the whole Audacity Award thing this time is going to go to Bria, because she's the one, in my opinion, who had the most audacity in this episode. Maybe even the last two, but definitely in episode 4. And the reason I say that is because, like I said earlier, she's acting like an HR manager. You know, Corbin finally comes in towards the end. He introduces himself. He asks the ladies if they want to kind of tell, you know, how they all seem to be very familiar with him and the guys aren't, or should he tell? But all of that aside, when he does go to sit down with the ladies or whatnot, and they're having a conversation, and eventually Melanie decides to pull Corbin for a private chat, you know, that doesn't seem to sit well with everybody, especially not Bria, because now she's managing the situation like, and obviously she's trying to manage her whole coupling situation as well, saying that, well, Kenzie should have been the first person to go have a private chat with him, if anybody, because she's single. And obviously we know that Kenzie is Gabe's number two, and it might actually be his number one. Maybe he just told her that it was his number two to be nice, because Kenzie and her being a dancer, and he said that dancers are his type. So, I think Kenzie is shooting up the list for him. I would not be surprised in a recoupling situation if the guys pick that Gabe would not choose Kenzie, even if it was just to kind of give it a go and see where that goes. I could see him really doing that, because he seems like the type of guy, and there's no shot at all, that likes to explore his options before, settling down with one thing. But that brings me back to Bria and, her energy that she's coming with, and, trying to basically keep Kenzie away from him, but also trying to manage this other situation, because I guess she feels some type of way, or she's upset about the fact that Melanie decided to pull Corbin for a chat. And I do see some of her point, honestly, because yeah, maybe somebody else should have, pulled him for a chat first. But how long was Corbin supposed to sit there before we're like, hey, does anybody really want to talk? So maybe Melanie took some initiative. But with all that being said, when Sincere went and pulled somebody for a chat, Melanie was all in her feelings immediately. And maybe Anaya shouldn't have confirmed to Melanie that, yeah, I think he did pull her for a chat this morning. You know, Sometimes we need to kind of just stay in our own place and our own couples. But with all that being said, Sincere handled this situation properly. I'm sure that irritated him a little bit. She flipped out because he did it to her, but now she's just open and willy-nilly just pulling everybody. Everybody she's pulling just because she wants to. So, I just feel like maybe she should have went and had a conversation with Sincere, since she wanted that same respect in return. You know, since he didn't do it, maybe you should show him how it's done. And that's just my only thought on it, because I just think it's a little messed up to be mad at a person for doing the same thing that you're currently doing and do it unapologetically. And that's just a little messed up to me. And then the whole aftermath of, yeah, Bia kind of started with her a little bit, and maybe she took a little bit further, but she also tried to dead this conversation as well. She's the one who's kind of stormed off and went to go try to have a conversation with Kata, of all people, who shot that shit down. She didn't even acknowledge it. And then when the other girls were trying to get her to come back to the couch, she was just like, give me 10, give me 10, give me 10. And I'm sure she was trying to fight back tears in that situation. And she was really frustrated and pissed off and trying to get somewhere to get her 10. But yeah, she definitely needed to take 10 in that situation, because I don't know. I'm not even sure why she's so upset by the situation, because while maybe she was called out to a degree, it really didn't come off disrespectful, like somebody was trying to challenge you. And I know we only probably saw 3, 4, 5 minutes of the conversation, which lasted probably about 20 minutes. But with all that being said, at the same time, it's like, you know, maybe kind of be mature a little bit. And I've seen people on the conversation in threads would say that, this is why they don't feel like people that are 21, 22 and stuff should be on this show, because maybe they're just not emotionally ready yet. And to that, I'll just say people mature at different times. So you just never know until they're put in a situation how they're truly going to react. Whether they're 22, 30, 35, it really wouldn't matter, because it just depends on the person, and everybody handles stress and pressure and everything a little bit differently. And doing a quick check-in on the couples, Gabriel and Bria, I think they're a little bit rockier than what she may think, because, Gabriel is telling the boys that Kenzie is more of his type than anything. And, you know, you're technically his number one right now. I honestly think Kenzie might be Gabriel's number one, and she's definitely working for that position, at least in his life. So we'll see how that really unfolds. And that's going to definitely raise a level of drama between the girls yet again, if that does happen. So I'm here for it, and I'm interested to see what happens with that situation, because that's going to be an interesting little love triangle, and how it truly unfolds. I'm almost positive that Bria would try to exact some type of revenge, or I'm not sure how, because Kenzie isn't talking to anybody, so it's not like she can go try to steal Kenzie's man. But, she'll probably just try to go kiss on somebody, or maybe get back with Sean. It'll be interesting, because while she tries to come off like a HR manager and like she can just handle herself, I think put in the right situation, she'll probably explode too. Kata and Zach, I don't know. They were kind of caught in the crossfire in this episode, and it didn't really seem like they interacted a lot during this day. So maybe they're good, maybe they're not. I think they're probably fine because the times that we did see them together, they seem to be fine. So I guess we'll see what happens on Sunday. But as of right now, they seem to be good. So we'll just roll with that. Now, Melanie and Sincere. Now, this is one I always said to watch from the beginning because I actually thought it was going to be Sincere that could potentially mess it up. But, and only because of some of the things that he said in his own confessional about, spreading the love and all that stuff like that. I just thought maybe he was going to be a little playboy, but he hasn't done that. And he's actually a very humble person, and I like that about him. But Melanie has put this couple definitely on the rocks, and I don't think they'll survive. Maybe they'll survive this recoupling because they're bringing in a guy. So, but the next recoupling, when they bring a girl in, I would not be so sure that Melanie is going to be with us after that because the way she's acting right now, I do think that she is probably the odd girl out, and she may be the one that everybody might want gone in the end. So we'll see how that plays out in their relationship. Anaya and KC, they're another interesting conversation. It didn't seem like they did too much in this episode to tear anything down or build anything up. Anaya was a little pissy with KC, which I think is the wrong person for her to be pissy with, when Melanie told you 2 times that she was going to go pull him for a chat. And what are they supposed to do? Sincere said it. I think KC said it as well. But what are they supposed to do when somebody pulls them for a chat? Say no? And that doesn't work like that. So everybody always says yes, mostly when they get pulled for a chat, except for in the whole Kenzie and Zach situation. But that's a little bit different since they were coupled up. She just doesn't want to talk to him anymore. But in the Anaya KC situation, if somebody pulled Anaya for a chat, I don't think KC would be upset if she went and had a chat because you've only been there 4 or 5 days at this point. So what is the problem with getting to know everybody that we fucking live with? I just don't think they're going to make it long term. I know I said in my last episode that I thought they would, but now that I'm seeing some of this shit unfold, I don't think they're going to make it long term anymore. And I hate that because I kind of liked them together and I thought they had a little bit of potential. But the way that she acted when the whole Melanie went to go talk to him, she needs to direct her anger in the right direction. And like I said earlier, with this whole recoupling situation coming up, and looking at the math of everything, I'm pretty sure the girls are going to be choosing and there's going to be an odd guy out. And I do not think that is going to be Sean. I think Sean is going to be safe. Him and Kenzie seem to be at least, on a tight friendship level right now. So if anything, she would probably choose Sean if she had no choice. But I think Bryce is gone. His own couple person flamed him in the conversation in the game and basically said that, he's trash. And, they both try to clean it up with each other later, mainly her. Trinity trying to clean it up with him about why she chose him in the game to get slimed or whatnot. But I don't think Bryce is feeling Trinity anymore after that anyways. And that doesn't really help him in the game because he doesn't have any connections with anybody else. So Bryce has to be the odd man out, in my opinion. I think Bryce will be the guy that we see get dumped from the odd. And that's not really a swerve. It may be to him when it ultimately happens because I do think it's going to be him. But we'll see how he reacts to it. I'm sure he'll be a little pissy because he seems like a little piss ant who gets pissed off when things don't go his way, because we saw how he handled the whole throuple situation. While it was an awkward situation to be in, but once Kata didn't pick him, he was basically ready to just move on to the next thing. He was ready to get away from her, and I don't think he said a word to Kata since then. But that's all I really have for this episode. But episode 4 is chaotic, and I think the recoupling on Sunday and episode 5 is going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it. And I think we're going to get some more bullshit and chaos in the in-between time as far as the episode goes. So let me know what you guys think about the episode. What did you guys think about all the revelations that came out with Melanie and Kata and how they truly feel about each other? Because these girls definitely aren't feeling each other. And yeah, Melanie's trying to do the whole fake love thing and give hugs and shit, but Kata obviously ain't feeling that. But let me know what you guys think about that situation. Let me know what you think about Melanie and Sincere. Do you think them guys are going to make it? I don't. I think they're on their way on the outs. So that's just my opinion. You guys let me know what you think. But thank you all for coming and watching this video and sticking by with me, and keep coming back for more, and I will see you in the next one. Oh, and before I get out here, I forgot to say it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I would really appreciate it and let you know to keep making episodes like this, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for coming.